If you think starting a conversation with a woman is all about having the perfect line, maybe that's why you never get anywhere. Really? The more you try to impress her with pretty words, the more she realizes that you're forcing something that doesn't come naturally, and that's exactly what scares her. What drives a woman away the most is not silence. It's desperation disguised as friendliness. Most men are looking for the magic formula while ignoring what really works. Attitude, presence, and reading the context. You can study 1,000 techniques, memorize 10 different ways to say hi, but if your energy is not aligned, it will sound artificial. And women sense this. They are trained from an early age to perceive what is behind the words. And if what is behind it is insecurity, she will see you as all the others she has already ignored. But here comes the twist. There is a way to start conversations that not only breaks the ice, but also sparks interest, even before the first word is said. And the craziest part? It doesn't involve any fancy techniques. It involves posture, awareness, and a silent mental game that almost no one talks about. But today, you're going to understand, and you're going to start looking at it all in a different light. You will discover how true seduction does not begin with what is said, but with what is transmitted. You will understand why some men can attract attention with a simple look, while others are ignored even after trying everything. And the best part, you will leave here knowing exactly what to do, with clarity, confidence, and a real plan. Are you ready to stop relying on luck and start becoming a man of true worth? Then take a deep breath, forget everything you've been taught so far, and pay attention to what comes next. Some men get stuck when it comes to approaching a woman as if they were in front of a head of state, when, deep down, she is just an ordinary person. The problem is that, in the minds of many, a monster is built made of doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs. And this monster paralyzes. Most don't even realize that silence is not the enemy. The enemy is internal judgment. It's as if every word has to come out perfect, scripted, rehearsed, when, in fact, women want truth, not performance. A man of value understands that it's not about saying something great, it's about connecting. He's not trying to win a conversation, he's trying to build a bridge. Have you ever noticed that the most magnetic people are the ones who seem comfortable in their own skin? They make mistakes, laugh about it, and move on. This is what personal development teaches, that being an alpha isn't about perfection, it's about presence. A simple hello can be weighted in gold when it's said with intention, without anxiety hidden behind a smile. That's where seduction begins, in its lightness. When a man sees a woman as a human being and not as an unattainable deity, everything changes. Practical example. Instead of thinking of a catchy phrase, think of a genuine observation. You could be in a bookstore. Look at the title she's holding and say, "Did this book choose you, or was it the other way around?" This breaks the ice without sounding like a romantic comedy script. It creates curiosity, it brings subtle humor, and most importantly, it starts an exchange. Of course, this doesn't eliminate the butterflies in your stomach, but feeling fear and acting anyway is what separates the average man from the man of value. The alpha man isn't the one who never feels insecure. He's the one who acts even when he feels it. Every time you muster the courage to speak up, you take a step forward in your personal development. And that courage is noticed, because women notice more than you think. They're not just listening to words, they're reading energy. And speaking of energy, there is a form of communication that speaks before you even open your mouth. A silent language that can attract, repel, or simply go unnoticed. And this is where many people make mistakes without even realizing it. This is where one of the greatest secrets of seduction lies. Even before you say a word, your body has already said everything it needs to. Your posture, the way you walk, the way you occupy space, tell us whether you are a man of value or someone trying to hide from his own reflection. Women have a keen radar for this. They sense when masculinity is present before they even hear your voice. If you walk hunched over with your shoulders closed, looking like you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, the message is clear: insecurity. And that drives people away more than any silence. Now, when a man walks into a room with his posture erect, his eyes firm and his breathing calm, he doesn't need to attract attention, he attracts it. And no, we're not talking about acting like the hottie at the club with an arrogant air. It's a quiet confidence that comes from personal development and self-knowledge. True seduction begins with how you present yourself, not with what you're trying to prove. The alpha man knows he doesn't need to convince anyone, he just needs to be authentic. Want a simple and effective exercise? Practice your presence. Stand in front of the mirror, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders and look at yourself for 2 minutes without looking away. Sounds silly. It may be. But try doing this every day and see how your body language changes. You'll start to walk differently. You'll speak more firmly. You'll move with more purpose. And this will undoubtedly impact the way women see you and feel around you. The gaze, for example, is a powerful weapon. Well-sustained eye contact conveys presence and genuine interest. You don't need to stare at someone as if it were a Wild West duel. The secret is balance. Look, smile slightly, and then look away naturally. This simple gesture shows confidence. The opposite, lost eyes, head down, restless hands, betrays anxiety. And anxiety, let's face it, is a natural repellent in the art of seduction. And speaking of smiles, they're like a silent good morning. An authentic smile, which comes from the eyes and not just the mouth, creates an instant connection. It's like saying, I'm here, I'm open, I'm at peace with myself. And it's in this state that seduction becomes almost inevitable. But of course, all of this needs to come from within, because there's no point practicing the form if the essence is still in conflict. And that's where the next step comes in, taking the initiative for real. Taking the initiative is more than just approaching a woman. It's showing that you're in control of your own life. Many men wait for a clear signal from her, as if the universe were giving them written permission to act. But the alpha doesn't wait for validation. He observes, feels the energy, and moves naturally. The initiative isn't just in the beginning of the conversation, but in the way you live. Whoever takes the lead, leads. And leadership is deeply attractive in a relationship. The truth is that women react much more to attitude than to appearance. You may not be the best-looking guy in the room, but if you are the most determined, the odds are in your favor. Personal development necessarily involves action. Standing still, waiting for fate to sort everything out, is a recipe for staying in the same place. Want to be noticed? Start by deciding to put yourself in the game. Even if it's shaky, even if it's imperfect, but always moving. A practical example, you see an interesting woman in a social setting. Don't spend 15 minutes rehearsing what you're going to say. Act in the first few seconds. Walk up to her calmly, keep your gaze steady, greet her with a smile and make a light comment about the environment. You could say, "This place has a nice atmosphere, doesn't it? It seems like everyone breathes differently here." You're not putting on a performance, you're starting a connection. And yes, it will be scary. It will give you butterflies. There will be rejection. But that's when you show whether you're a man of value or just another one trying to hide behind excuses. Rejection doesn't define who you are. It just defines that the connection didn't happen. And that's okay, because a man who takes the initiative isn't afraid of a no. He knows that each attempt refines him, strengthens him, shapes him. It's like refining your own presence in the world of seduction, and when this presence is shaped with courage, it begins to demand more. More than ready-made phrases, more than generic approaches. It demands depth. It demands something that really goes beyond the automatic. And this is where the next step to truly differentiate yourself begins. Avoiding those approaches that everyone repeats. Most men start a conversation the same way. "Hi, how are you? What's your name? And do you know what happens?" She responds with a somewhat bored yes, and immediately looks for a way to end it right there. These approaches are so overused that they've become noise. They seem more like a script than a real attempt to connect. A man of value understands that. In seduction, what sets him apart is precisely what breaks the mold. It's about going off the beaten track and creating a unique moment, even with a simple phrase. Avoiding these generic phrases doesn't mean reinventing the wheel. It means showing presence, creativity, and reading the room. Imagine this. You're in a coffee shop and she's reading a book. Instead of saying the classic, "Hi, do you come here often?" How about saying, "Has this author already hooked you, or is he still convincing you?" Do you notice the difference? You're not interrogating, you're proposing an exchange. And women, when they realize you've gone beyond the obvious, become intrigued. And curiosity, my friend, is a powerful gateway to seduction. Men with an alpha mindset have a trained eye for finding the gap in the scene, the perfect hook. It's not about ready-made phrases, but about observing carefully and transforming any detail into a clever opening. It could be the music that's playing, what she's wearing, or even the way she uses her phone. Everything communicates something, and everything can become a bridge if you're truly present. Presence is worth more than sophisticated vocabulary. And there's another point. When the approach is different, it demands more from you. You need to be genuinely interested, because you can't improvise well if you're not there, body and soul. This separates men who really want to create a relationship from those who just want to test their ego. Seduction requires commitment. A man of value offers attention, not just words. And women feel this commitment, even in the first few sentences. Now, if you've come this far understanding the value of originality, you might be wondering, but what else can you say if it's not the basics? And that's where one of the most underrated tools of communication between men and women comes in. A tool that can open doors, create connection, and sustain interest with surprising power. There is a huge difference between asking, "Do you like music?" and saying, "What kind of music makes you forget time?" The first question is dry, easy to answer with a simple yes or no. The second invites the person to open up, to share a piece of their story. And in seduction, and in any true relationship, this is what creates connection. Depth. The alpha man knows that the more he invites a woman to express herself, the more he understands her universe. And understanding in this game is power. Open-ended questions are part of a powerful tool in communication. They not only take the conversation away from superficiality, but they also show that you are just the right amount of curious, not invasive, but interested. An example, instead of asking, "What do you do for a living?" try, "What led you to choose what you do today?" See how this question changes everything. It doesn't require a label. It seeks a story. And stories create bonds. Bonds that can't be broken by a simple, "It was nice meeting you." Many men think they need to impress by talking about themselves, but the real charm is in listening. Open-ended questions get a woman talking, and when she talks, she feels. And when she feels, she connects. It's that simple. A man of value doesn't overwhelm the conversation trying to sell himself. He offers space. And that, in times of inflated egos and empty speeches, is a rarity that draws attention right away. Want to practice this now? Think of 3 open-ended questions that you can use in a real conversation. Something like, "What fascinates you most about people?" Or, "If you could live in someone's shoes for a day, who would it be and why?" Or even, What was the most unexpected moment that turned into a good memory? Write it down. Read it out loud. Practice in front of the mirror, and most importantly, wait for the answers with genuine curiosity, because women can sense when it's just a game and when it's real presence. And speaking of real presence, there is an even more subtle level of seduction, a field where you don't even need to speak, but you can still convey everything. Something that starts before the approach and that stays with you even when you're silent. That's where the invisible power that few explore, and that most men don't even know exists, resides. Now tell me, how many opportunities have you missed simply because you didn't know what to say, or worse, because you didn't even try? It's time to stop hiding behind doubt and start acting like a man of value. The knowledge is here, so is the clarity, but it's all for nothing if you don't apply it. The question is, are you going to keep waiting for the perfect moment, or are you going to create your moment now? Have you noticed how everything changes when you understand body language, when you take the initiative with confidence and avoid the obvious? What if I told you that all of this is still just the beginning? Have you ever imagined where you could go if you put these principles into practice for a week, a month, a year? Transformation doesn't happen when you just listen. It happens when you decide to take action. So now it's up to you. What will your next move be? Will you let this content die here, or will you use it to change the way you relate to women and to yourself? Write in the comments what impacted you the most, what insight was the key to your success, or even what you still want to learn about seduction, love, dating, and personal development. Your voice matters here. And of course, if this content made sense to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications, because there's a lot more coming. And each new video could be the step you needed to become the man you were born to be. The man who attracts, inspires, and conquers without having to force anything.